Bizarre Brain Comics.
Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time, I want to take a little look at this book here, which is The Green Skull. It's a known associates mystery, The Green Skull, by Joe Zabel and Gary Dumm. But before I do that, I want to mention that as of this recording, I've just gone over 800 subscribers, and I want to thank each and every one of you subscribers out there. So thank you so much. Making a little headway there. I appreciate every one of you. Now, we're talking about The Green Skull. I got this book this past spring at a convention or event from a dollar box, and I'd never seen or heard of it, but I am familiar. One of the reasons I got it is because, of course, I like the cover illustration, and I am familiar with the creators, Joe Zabel and Gary Dumm, and I liked her costume so much I had to do a drawing of it. And no, there's no superheroes or anything like that. All the costumes here are because of a costume party. And I thought that was kind of neat. And it is basically a mystery story. After a fashion, known associates. Okay. And it's done by Joe Zabel and Gary Dumm. And this is from 1995. Froggy. And Joe Zabel is a comic book creator living in Cleveland Heights. Best known for his artwork done in American Splendor magazine, written and published by Harvey Pekar, which I just talked about not too long ago. And he has published his own series of mystery comic books, The Trespassers. And he attended Youngstown State University and broke into comics in 1977. In 1985, he started penciling stories for Pekar in American Splendor, usually inked by Gary Dumm. In the 2000s, he has turned away from print comics and produces internet digital comic strips. He's also a comics reviewer, writing for the Comics Journal and other print and digital publications. And he is, from what I understand, he is the writer and penciler of the story. And Gary Dumm is the inker. And he was born in 1947. He's an American comics artist and writer, best known for illustrating stories published by Harvey Pekar. Starting in 1976 up until 2010, at the death of Harvey, he worked on Harvey Pekar's American Splendor comic magazine. He was often the inker on the pencils provided by Greg Budget and Joe Zabel. And he has produced work for his own stories as well as other publishers like Caliber, Fantagraphics, and Real Stuff. And he was one of Pekar's longest-running collaborators. And I really I've always really liked their work on American Splendor. And in those American Splendor books I showed the other day, they had some work done in those. I don't know much about the mystery influences of Harvey got Pekar on the brain, of Joe Zabel, but I would guesstimate it's Dashiell Hammett, Sherlock Holmes stuff. And and the whole book is black and white and has some really nice artwork in it. It's not the flashy and it's really super dynamic stuff that you see in the mainstream comics, but it is good, solid storytelling, some great backgrounds, and great real human figures. Just give you And our story begins, has a prologue. There's a super rich guy, what's his, oh, it'll come back, I'll get to it. And he's really paranoid in his mansion. He's going to bed at night, goes into his room, which is a locked in steel room with bars on the windows, big old heavy steel door, has a guard at the door. He's paranoid. And then you hear him shouting, "Oh, stay away!" The guy gets guard calls somebody with the key, get in, and the guy is gone. Locker room mystery. And yeah, Winter Craven, man, that's the guy's name, Winter Craven. And here are our main character, who is Delphinia Morgan. She is part of a team, works with Raymond Fish, who is already here at the mansion. She gets there and just have a little incidental stuff with car trouble. Gets to the mansion, has to see one of the assistants, one of the people who work and live there, and she therefore, because it's been a month since the guy disappeared, and they're still having the already scheduled costume party. And she meets the lady and gets a tour of the mansion, the house, and this is where he really shines with the backgrounds, some really nice backgrounds, good detail, good perspective, etc., and get some details of the background of the house, which is immaterial here. And then she sees this in this unusual room, where it's on display in this globe is the Virescent Death's Head, which is basically a crystal skull made of jade. And I gather these investigators often are involved in occult stuff, as well as regular crime. So they were hired to come and try to, since the police were baffled, investigate this. And here we finally meet Raymond, her partner, and they're there together, and he's examining the door and stuff, and he says, I figured it out. I figured out how he got out. Here we see in the room, his bedclothes were right there, and so he says, step outside and I'll show you. So she steps outside, locks him in, and then here's the stuff. Who are you? Stay away. No, blah, blah, blah. She opens the door, and he's not there. But then we see him someplace else, and he's without his clothes, because he left his clothes on the table, on the bed. And somewhere in a cavern underneath, on a catwalk, and that's really, and other stuff. He had put on some coveralls that were provided there, and it's some kind of control room with monitors showing the various parts of the house. And he sees Finn, Delphinia Morgan, known as Finn. She's getting in her costume for the costume party, and she's still wondering where he went. And he starts to talk to her over the microphone. He goes, "What?" But it's as far as he gets before he is discovered. Meanwhile, here she is in her costume. Her hostess is there to escort her. And this is where, again, our creators really shine in this scene here at the costume party. All these costumes, all these figures, all these people, and it's just a wonderful drawing. Same thing for up here. And so everyone's in costumes, and she's talking. But the lady, who's I think the daughter of the missing man, she didn't want the party to go down anyway, and she's upset. So while she's there, the phone's standing right next to her rings. What the heck? She answers it, and it's our missing man. This is our missing man holding a gun on Raymond, and has him tied up but he's loosening his bonds. And he tells her, the missing man tells Finn what she needs to do, because her boy is in trouble, and this is the only way to save him. And it's not necessarily a direct threat on him, but it seems that way. So she takes off. Her hostess is curious and follows her. And this is where we get some background. And he says, "Sorry, I don't mean I got carried away. But But the whole thing is, there's this group of an organization called which is just called M14, and they're a kind of an occult secret society, and they are after the Green Skull. And so he has her go snatch the Green Skull. Nice drawing of that skull, but one of her hostesses has discovered her, and she's trying to explain. And one of the other hostesses on the phone saying, "Now," whatever that means, right? So she gets on the elevator, and then she sees two people in costume. Next thing we see, she's unconscious on the floor, and the skull is gone. Meanwhile, Raymond gets loose, has a little tussle, gets the gun away, and they see that Finn is unconscious on the floor of the elevator. And then they see, along the catwalk, all these people in costumes, and they're armed, coming down towards their control room. So, we've got to get out of here. So he kills the lights, puts on infrared goggles so they can see, and havoc reigns. Fire breaks out. The place is starting to burn, and they're scampering out. He drops the catwalk, and some of the people fall down the cavern. And I like some of the costumes here, like some from the classic, some of the classic movie serials from the 30s. And more stuff. They undo them, and then here moments later they're up come up through another trap door into the house. They're waking up Finn, and everything is settled okay. The man is recovered, the Finn is recovered, the skull is recovered, and the bad guys are defeated. They're taken off, and said, "Okay, now tell me, wait a minute, how did he get out of that locked room?" So, that was easy. And then he describes that it was the big old steel door had a compartment built into it and a trap door in the floor, so that when the door was completely opened, it was lined up, and he got out through the door and the trap door. And that's some interesting stuff. And it's shorter than I thought. And then in the back he has some reviews of other publications, other comics. And so that's it for Gary Dumm's and Joe Zabel's The Green Skull, A Known Associates Mystery. And I really like the cover painting. It looks like it was either acrylic, done in either acrylic or gouache. It's a real nice, clean, very clean painting. And I like their work. They did a real good job overall. And it was a fun read. And I've never seen any other of these books anywhere. I'd never seen this one before, and I really enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think of The Green Skull. Do you like the artwork? Do you like the story aspect, the mystery aspect? I really enjoyed it, and it's a nice contrast to the superhero comics. And I just loved all the costumes at the party. And do remember that comics, especially stuff like this, comics are art.